Hey, how's it going? Welcome to episode, I want to say 3 of Countdown to Conviction. It looks like this is just my reaction show for now, as I am just trying to cultivate information that will help you understand why you need to find out who you need to vote for in your neck of the woods so the Democrats can pull off enough votes to the convict Trump upon impeachment. The 5 or 4 seats they need to get the majority is not enough for the plurality, and the plurality is what we need. And so, over the course of the next weeks and months, I'm going to try and figure out. I'm going to get some graphics on screen so you can just see what I'm talking about, so we know who to vote for, who not to vote for, which seats are up for grabs. I had a kind of a short term plan, but then I took ill. I got really sick over the last couple of days. I have some other personal stuff that I'm dealing with that is coming close to being resolved in some way, and then I can just maybe take a couple of moments to like woosah, and then while the world is having its trials and tribulations, it never stops for any individual person. So me and Tracy are still in the middle of what we got going on as a team. Like, uh, so there's that. But it's just been a day. And so I had to go on record because like I'm like thinking like, I did some live streaming and showed some stuff on my Twitch channel, and I was talking to Tracy about not really cultivating an audience, like not putting in the time to constantly sort of make a presence, because it was like, to what end? 2 years ago, a year ago, there was just no need. I didn't have anything to sell, and I didn't desire to talk about anything at length enough to like make a YouTube channel or whatever about. Not really. I honestly didn't expect Dragon Age to not really take off at all, and for the everything that's kind of fell apart. For EA to be involved in the Saudis and Jared Kushner and all that stuff, to like, it's like, so that, and delving into a couple of people's Discord channels and seeing all the red pill bullshit they were up to, I just, here we are, where like the things that I was been worried about the most are like not all coming true, but they shot that man. All right, so this is my show. This is my show. This is my show on YouTube. This is my YouTube show about the topic I think that is most important. I should migrate it over to my YouTube channel for the DMAD stuff, but I'm still under the auspice that I'm in my Super Destroyer. The Republic Defender 78 came from a Captain America build on DC Universe Online. Heck, City of Heroes before that, a Superman build. But I don't know. But in the while I figure it out, we're gonna catch up with this dude. I like a lot of people I'm gonna show you on my YouTube channel are people who I follow on Instagram, and and like their content and find it informational, hopeful, and inspirational, but can't don't always look to find them on YouTube. I'm like, I just try to find them on a platform where I create content more comfortably. I'm not an Instagram content creator. I like enjoying it, but I don't really like the interface of clipping together this stuff. And yeah, I like to watch what the other creators are doing. And when it comes to political stuff, I like to share what they're saying, and like directly. So I found that Tennessee Brando, I think It looks like he's working through Midas touch, so that's cool. But I like what he has to say, more or less. So let's hear what he has to say about what happened the last 48 hours.
Say right out of the gate that videos like this are getting harder and harder to make. And I can't guarantee you that I will have any real order to it because I don't have a script in front of me. I always just say what's on my mind about it. And I know a lot of people appreciates my calm and cool, laid-back approach, but to tell you the truth, I've always been raging on the inside when I'm covering stories like this because an American citizen was executed today in Minneapolis by ICE. And I've watched the videos, and I encourage everyone else to watch the videos and form your own opinions about what it is that you've seen, because what's happening right now is you're being told what you're supposed to see by Donald Trump and his criminal regime. I'm going to read you what Donald Trump said here, and then I'm going to read you from the Constitution. And I'm also going to read a little bit from a book by Timothy Snyder called On Tyranny. But first of all, this is the way that Donald Trump is spinning this. From the videos that I've seen, the man's hands were empty. I did not see him with a gun in his hand. Apparently, he did have a weapon on him, and apparently that's not illegal in Minnesota. It says here, yes, it is legal to conceal carry in Minnesota, but you must have a valid permit, which requires an application, training, and a background check, and you cannot carry in certain prohibited locations like schools or government buildings. So I really don't know if this man had a permit, but I also know that MAGA has never gave a damn about that. They've always said, when we've talked about gun permits or stricter gun laws, they've always said that any of that got in the way of someone protecting themselves from a tyrannical government. But here's what Donald Trump is telling his cult to believe. He posted this. He said, this is the gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional magazines and ready to go. What's that about? Well, first of all, when has MAGA ever asked that question? They're armed to the teeth, and we've asked what it was about, and they said it was because they was allowed to stand up to a tyrannical government. But Donald Trump's asking, what's that about? Why did this guy have a gun? Where are the local police? Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and the governor called them off. It is stated that many of these police were not allowed to do their job, that ICE had to protect themselves, not an easy thing to do. And then he goes on, of course, to talk about Omar. I'm not shocked there. And he says, let our patriots do their job. 12,000 illegal alien criminals, many of them violent, have been arrested, and blah, blah, blah. But an American citizen today lost his life. And again, from every video that I've seen, he didn't have the gun in his hands and was shot multiple times after he was laying there, folks. It's one of the most disturbing videos that I truly ever have seen. Definitely excessive. There's no way you can spin out of that one. But what's going to happen more than ever right now is they're going to try to tell you what you're supposed to see. Know that the Constitution is being completely ignored by Donald Trump, and I myself get irritated when people start saying, well, by law, by law. I'm like, well, this president isn't going by the law. But I would like to remind the MAGAs out there who love to thump the Constitution and always love to pull out the Second Amendment on us. I keep a copy of the United States Constitution on my desk, and thanks to Donald Trump and thanks to MAGA, I have read it more than I ever have. I've studied it more than I've ever had, and I've listened to constitutional scholars who I trust, who have helped me to grow a better understanding of all of this. But the one that they love to thump the loudest was the Second Amendment, which, by the way, when Trump says, what was that about? He had a gun? What was that about? Well, here's what it was about. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So if that man was carrying a gun on him, first of all, MAGA has never cared about gun permits or any rules that was ever put in place. They've always said that that was an overstep. They've always said that was a tyrannical government. The videos that I've seen, he did not have his hand on the weapon. There's been several videos that I've seen and slowed down from different angles. In situations like that, it's definitely hard to tell what's happening, but I can definitely tell you that after one shot was fired, at least 8 or 9 more were fired, and it looked like several of them hit a lifeless body that posed no threat to these men whatsoever. But what's going to happen right now more than ever is Donald Trump and his criminal regime are going to go out of their way to tell you what it is you're supposed to see. And over on Patreon and members only, I've been breaking down a book called On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century. If you don't own a copy of this book, I highly recommend you go out of your way. When this video stops, go out of your way to get you a copy of this one right here. And I have covered this chapter on Patreon, but this doesn't need to be behind a paywall because this is absolutely the truth that needs to be heard. And I'm just going to read a little bit of it here to you because it's what was definitely going through my head as I was watching the videos of the events that are unfolding today. So chapter 10 is Believe in the Truth. To abandon facts is to abandon freedom. If nothing is true, then no one can criticize power, because there is no basis upon which to do so. If nothing is true, then all is spectacle. The biggest wallet pays for the most blinding lights. And as I've been reading this book, and we've been breaking it down over on YouTube, Patreon and members only, every time I read it, I'm like, dang, this is really, an absolute lesson to be learned about our times because it's happening right now. But you submit to tyranny when you renounce the difference between what you hear and what is actually the case. This renunciation of reality can feel neutral and pleasant, but the result is your demise as an individual, and thus the collapse of any political system that depends upon individualism. Conservatives are all about that. Conservatives are all about their individualism. They're all about standing up to tyrannical governments. They're all about the Constitution. But I really like what this has to say. When you submit to tyranny, you renounce the difference between what you hear and what is actually the case. We saw what happened with Renee Good. We saw it. Kristi Noem went on television and immediately labeled her a domestic terrorist. Donald Trump's already said, what's this guy's gun about? What's going on? These men were just trying to do their job. They're going to tell you what they want you to see. And when you believe that, you're going to lose yourself. And you're going to lose everything that our founding fathers put in place. And by the way, when I talk about the founding fathers, I just want to say this. No, they weren't perfect. In the words of George Carlin, we were founded by slave owners who wanted to be free. So no, they weren't perfect. I'm not here to say that they were. But there were supposed to be checks and balances in place. There was supposed to be law. There was supposed to be a system in place to protect from these very types of moments. So I want to read just a little bit right here. The first mode, and it talks right here, as observers of totalitarianism, such as Victor Klemper, notice the truth dies in 4 minutes.
Okay. Not that it's not interesting and not worth listening to and checking out. It's just that I thought that he was going to cover exactly what happened more directly in this video. It's extremely interesting, and I'm probably gonna keep it in my queue and let it play in its entirety when I do my live stream. But for the sake of this video, I think we're gonna cut it there and move on to a video that's a bit more carrying on what he's talking about in terms of the dishonesty of the federal government under Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, and these guys. And that's a misnomer. Donald Trump, then Kristi Noem. She is a follower of Donald Trump. She doesn't call any shots. So there'll be no bus running here. So let's check out this 10-minute clip from MS Now about that more specifically.
Let's bring in Rob D'Amico, MS Now National Security and Intelligence Analyst and former FBI Supervisor, along with MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delaney. And good to have both of you guys with us. So, Ken, you report the Department of Homeland Security, not the FBI, will investigate the shooting. How unusual is that? Will DHS be investigating itself?
Exactly, Alex. And it's very unusual. It's not just that DHS will be investigating itself, because the FBI sometimes investigates itself when the FBI investigates FBI-related shootings. But the FBI is the law enforcement agency that we rely on in this country to investigate officer-involved shootings. They do it usually in concert with the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. None of that is happening here, and it remains to be seen even who within DHS is even conducting this investigation. They don't have the expertise in these kinds of investigations. They would investigate officer-involved shootings of their own agencies to see if they adhered to policy, but not this question of did they violate the civil rights of the person who was killed here. And let me just add, speaking to David's point that local officials are contemplating bringing criminal charges, they can do that. There's precedent for that, but there will be a court fight over that because the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution prohibits that from happening if it's deemed that these officers were acting within the scope of their duty as federal agents. Of course, that will be a court fight. The state may argue that that can't be the case here because essentially they acted so grossly negligently that they weren't acting as law enforcement officers, and there's precedent for that argument being made, and that would go up to a judge, and then it would go up to an appeals court. So it's a long way off from charges being filed. But one thing is pretty clear is that judging by the previous shooting, the Renee Good case, this administration has no appetite for holding these officers accountable and even asking the question, did they violate the civil rights of the people they are killing?
Well, here's another issue, Rob, because a judge granted a request by Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension blocking the Trump administration from destroying evidence. This after BCA obtained a warrant to guarantee their access to the crime scene, and they were still blocked by federal authorities. DHS denies any claims that they would destroy evidence, but what are the risks when you lose cooperation between state and federal law enforcement?
It's unheard of, and it's unheard of that the federal government has.
He ain't kidding. It's unheard of. I've been thinking about this all day because I remember all so long ago when the mayor was like, get the fuck out of whatever. And I was like, all right, so who gonna make him get the fuck out of there? And he's still standing there, back a few feet while they take questions because they're still there. And it's gotten worse, not better. And again, it's come down to like, who is in control of what? Like, who is control of the state National Guard? Is it the governor? Is it the president of the United States? Like, if Tim Walz tells the police to stop ICE, are they going to be shooting each other in the streets? Like, what is that really? Like, no one seems to want to like come clean as to what it all really means when it comes to a president taking up a beef like this with a state and sending armed people. Like, the whole guise of immigration is already paper thin. How much thinner does it need to be before we start asking the real question? What is Tim Walz really supposed to do? Because are we really asking him to ask police officers in his state to act like soldiers and defend the state from federal armed soldiers? Because that's what, I mean, when we keep saying do something, it's agencies of enforcement. He has a private army who will fucking shoot you in the street. Do we have a private army who will fucking shoot you in the street? That's the only real question that really comes down to at that point. I mean, because they're shooting people now. It ain't like a hypothetical. What would you do if they started going door to door, and if you had a problem with it, they push your girl down and we went to go pick her up, beat the shit out of you, pull the gun off your back, walk away with it, and then just empty clips on you like you were a fucking RoboCop? Like, that's what happened. So that's the question. if that's what they're doing right now, what are you asking Tim Walz to do in terms of retaliation or like what is the play? Pam Bondi says, give us your voting records so we can rig the next election. So what are you asking them to do to stop that? Like, I'm hoping we can still vote, because my whole countdown to help you figure out who to vote for is kind of for naught if we can't get to the polls. So what is, like, I don't mean to be all Mr. Gloom and Doom, but I mean, at some point, someone's got to ask that question, because one of the problems was the number of white supremacists who invaded our regular police forces. One of the problems was the regular police force mistreating people of color. So now that we have this Gestapo, slave hunters, whatever you want to call them, what they're doing is what we know for a fact they're doing. What cops are you talking to or asking to do what? Because they are willing to shoot your ass in the face, shoot your ass in the back, in the snow, with cameras. We got 4 or 5 different angles of them murdering that man. Nobody talking about arresting nobody. There's nobody talking about a bunch of cops got all fucking pissed and went to find the ICE agent and put him in cuffs. We ain't heard nothing about that. So, like, who is supposed to step in when they're just shooting cats now? Like, just straight up, you know? That's my question. That's what I'm curious about. And we're watching another video where I don't know if they're really gonna, like, they're talking about destroying the evidence. So let's see what they say. Let's see what the expert dude says.
Let's have a court tell them to retain evidence that's not touched. And then when you get it into court, the chain of custody and who got it, those are all important points that when it's going back and forth, who took the evidence, where did it get stored, how was it signed over, all that has to be perfectly documented. And now you have this thing going on that they don't know. I think that even without physical evidence, I think the states and locals can get an indictment with just the video. I think the video is that blatant on what happened that some of the physical evidence at this point doesn't need to be in there to get an indictment.
So, Ken, is there a lack of trust developing between law enforcement agencies? Is DHS at the epicenter of the distrust? And I ask this because we just got a statement from DHS very quickly. It reads, in part, any claim the federal government would destroy evidence is a ridiculous attempt to divide the American people and distract, and it goes on to continue. So they're saying, yeah, we're not destroying evidence.
Yeah, there's a profound lack of trust, Alex. You saw the Minneapolis police chief, Brian.
I mean, on one hand, and I think that's what Todd Blanche was saying under their interview, is like y'all got the footage, y'all can see. This other dude who, this other dude said it. He said, the point is the cruelty. I was saying it last night to my girlfriend, screaming it, like the point is the cruelty. The point is to be seen doing it. The point is to do it in your face and realize that there's nothing you can do about it. That's the point. When that dude in the other video is looking at them women and saying, didn't you see what happened? Didn't you learn your lesson? They are excited about this. They are jazzed up about this. They are sitting there waiting for opportunities to fire their weapons. This is proud boys running around, with masks on, looking like, this is what they're doing. This is they showed the video. My man pulled his gun out. The other dude took took Peretti's gun and trotted away with it. He was surprised. You see him run away with that gun, and when the shots go off, he's like, "Oh shit!" Like they shooting, because he had the dude's gun. He's thinking, "Well, I got his gun," and no, there's when you see that video go down, who's running the show there? There's no one in command. No one's saying hold your fire. No one is in command because they want wanton violence. What they want more than anything, why those ICE agents are so stupid, what they want more than anything is for somebody to shoot and kill an ICE agent. They want an ICE agent to die more than anything else. Christy Nome and them, they want that so bad because if they get that, if they can shove enough women in the snow, shoot enough dudes who are surrendering, and get someone mad enough to actually retaliate, and they can say, look at how violent they are. They can, and the insane thing is, they can shoot so many people and it won't be enough. But the one time someone reacts violently to an ICE agent and the ICE agent actually gets hurt or dies, that's going to be it. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do in the meantime? Because like I just said, we can't ask them to militarily fight back. That's civil war. We don't really have, I don't know where that army is sitting. We don't have an army on reserve that I know of that's actually our army. And a lot of the, partially, I don't know what you call a police force in that regard, but a lot of them police cats are straight up skinheads. So what you gonna do then? So that's my concern. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do to avoid shooting in the streets all over the country, because they're already shooting in the streets in one part of the country, and I don't think these cats have an answer.
O'Hara on one of the Sunday shows this morning, he's saying, look, leave aside the question of whether these officers committed murder, because that's a really tough charge to prove. If, for example, someone yelled gun and an officer made a mistake, then they...
See what I mean? We can't prove it. That's what I'm talking about. Why would they still... So she asked why they would steal evidence, and I'm like, well, maybe they got a point there because we can see all the fucking footage. We're hell. This video, motherfucker. He just said maybe it wasn't. Maybe, man. So fuck that guy right there, because he literally saw a video where a DHS agent, an ICE agent, shoved one with both. He shoved her with everything he had, like a little bitch, and she slid backwards and she fell. And my man turned his back completely to help her off the ground. And while he was doing that, the dude who just shoved this woman with all his might started pepper spraying my man. And the thing about that is, the dude who was getting pepper sprayed was not a part of the original scrum, which means he wasn't a part of agitating that guy to the point where he was willing to fight a woman with his fists. Little bitty bitch. He wasn't fucking part of that. He was just like, whoa, my man, like, chill the fuck out. And he starts spraying this dude and spraying this dude. There's another guy standing there the whole time watching that shit. He's watching. He has his phone out and he's recording it. And then when the dude who's spraying him is just wrestling him down, another guy comes over and pulls the gun away. And when he pulls the gun away and walks away, that guy who came by, who was recording and stuff, who pulls his gun out, starts firing. That's fucking murder. And if we didn't live in a world where the police did that shit all the fucking time to dudes who look like me, and guys who look like that said, well, maybe you should have complied, it would be easy for this fucking asshole right here to understand that. Fuck. I'm gonna find another video, because that guy right there said, I don't know. Fuck that guy. I don't know what his name is, but fuck him. Ooh, shit. That motherfucker said, I don't know. Maybe it could have been. I don't know. I got something from the jam, but it's kind of long. Let's do this. I was gonna hold off on this because it's a little too. But nah, fuck that. Fuck that guy right there. But it's still innocent now. I'm not gonna be biased. Fuck that guy right there though. Kim
Here
Delaney
again
and
with
maybe.
Darren Porcher. He's a former NYPD lieutenant. DHS and the Trump administration have made a lot of claims, and thank you for Darren for being with us again for this. They made a lot of claims about what happened in Minneapolis yesterday. But we have a lot of video that shows what happened yesterday in the moments leading up to Alex Pretti's killing at the hands of federal agents. And I want to start with the very first video that we all saw yesterday, around 11 a.m. Eastern, when we started to first hear reports of the shooting. This video that I'm going to show you is taken by a bystander who is, and this is important, Darren, he's indoors across the street. So it's a bit difficult to see and hear exactly what's going on. But again, I've got a lot of video, so we're going to corroborate all of this. What you're about to see is a struggle between one man, Alex Pretti, and several federal agents. A warning, and I will warn you ahead of all of these are all graphic videos. You will hear gunshots at the end of this one.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know?
Oh, what the? They killed him? Did they kill that guy? Are you kidding me, dude?
Now, this is the first video we had yesterday, and Darren, we were talking to experts yesterday morning, and they all said it's not a clear enough video to make a determination, and we don't have enough context. We don't know what happened immediately prior to that. So let me show you what else we have. That video didn't show us what was going on before the shooting or what led to it, but since yesterday morning, as is the case with so many of these interactions that involve federal agents these days, several other videos and angles from the scene have surfaced, and they paint a much clearer picture. Now, before I show you more video, I want to read to you from the Department of Homeland Security's account of the fatal shooting. DHS says Pretti, quote, approached agents with a semi-automatic handgun. Just a note, by the way, for me, pretty much all modern pistols are semi-automatic. It just means that when you pull the trigger, you can pull it again without recharging the gun. They are legal to carry if you have a permit for one in Minneapolis, which police say Pretti did have. Here's the quote from DHS. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a
I don't mean to cut Ali Velshi off, because what he's trying to do is explain something that college classes will go into greater detail, and I guess they don't have enough time for. But what he's trying to explain is every single thing that Kristi Noem and that little fucking troll asshole with the fucking his daddy's belt across his chest, head of ICE, says, because it's almost the exact same. It's because it is. It's like curated keywords perfectly coded to get the maximum effect to the people who are listening. And who they are talking to are people who have not actually seen the footage. And so the little troll fucking asshole guy uses the term semi-automatic pistol, not to be more descriptive, but to be like monstrous, to make it seem like it's some kind of special fucking RoboCop gun that shoots 50 bullets at a time, that chase you around fucking corners and shit. Like, that's why he does it. It's to make it seem like he's fucking Jason Bourne out there snapping ICE officers' necks, and they finally took him down. That's why he uses the term semi-automatic instead of sticking with the goddamn pistol, to be overly descriptive. And so Velshi's trying to diffuse that, but he doesn't have time to explain the critical thinking and there's a word for the fucking abusive way in which they do everything. And it's fucked up. And he's trying to fucking counter it by explaining a little bit, but it's a way of demystifying it. But yeah, the reason Kristi Noem is talking about semi-automatic pistol is to make it sound worse than it is. The guy had a fucking pistol in the small of his back, holstered. And honestly, I've been thinking about that all day. I am super anti-gun. If I'd have met the man, I thought it was fucking awesome because he worked with the VA. My dad went to the VA a lot. I used to take him out of the VA. And my dad, yeah, like I think he'd have been cool, but him having a gun would have concerned me. And I'd have been like, dude, like having a gun makes me nervous because I feel like you are okay, but the person who's determined to do the bad thing, Like, you having a gun's not going to make that much of a difference, is how I feel about people carrying guns. And that's the thing. Like, I wish he didn't have that gun on him. But the truth is, I honestly feel like they'd have shot that man if he'd had a cell phone back there in that holster. They wanted to kill somebody so bad. They were foaming at the mouth. You can't convince me that dudes who are seeing women in a crowd and making a beeline for them to put hands on them in order to incite more anger aren't looking to shoot people. This is a million times worse than Kent State.
9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted, fearing for his life and the lives and safety of his fellow officers. An agent fired defensive shots. Okay, that's what CBP says. While talking to reporters, the CBP chief, Greg Bovino, also claimed that Pretti wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. But the videos that have surfaced appear to contradict this account. In fact, we've been unable, in all the videos we've seen, to identify a gun in Pretti's hands at any point during this interaction. But that's just us. We're going to let you see for yourself. This next video is going to give us some more context. I'm going to play it out fully first. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the man.
I think they're counting on being able to scrape all of the public footage and use AI to recreate what they want. I honestly think this is what they plan on doing, because if you think about this, they are being financed by these billionaire tech bro fucking douchebags who are stupid asshole dudes who are fucking dumb. Like one of those guys, some kind of college bro who's into phrenology. What kind of fucking shit is that? These are guys who have dumb ideas with daddy money. But they're bankrolling all this shit. So they're promising them that AI is going to be able to clean all this shit up. And so they want to make sure that all of the footage that people take with their cell phones is gone, because they are already trying it. The woman who did the protest at that church, they use AI to doctor her arrest photo to make her look less fucking noble and more like she was in distress. Like for what? The optics are all they have. White supremacy is just an illusion. There's no part of it that has any real purchase. It's all illusion. It's all sizzle. So of course they're obsessed. That's all they care about. Think about that. Look at all the fucking plastic surgery, all the fucking cosplay, all of the optics. That's all it is. They are all theater. There's nothing else. And so they paid a bunch of fucking meth addict lunatics to be their fucking marching force, but the rest of these fucking are just fucking lunatics. They're fucking, but there's nothing physically there. That's why they're using the media like this, because they don't know anything else.
Man in the khaki pants, the brown jacket, and the black baseball cap. Tall guy. That's Alex Pretti. Again, I'm going to play this for you in full, and then Darren and I are going to break it down. This starts off slowly. It's going to be about 30 seconds of not knowing what's going on. 36 seconds in, you are going to see Pretti's first physical interaction with a federal agent. About 1 minute in, you'll hear the first gunshot. Another warning. This is graphic.
Go. What the is wrong with you? The people! The is wrong with you? Honestly!
Okay, Now let's break this down bit by bit. Let's go to the video here, and we'll start with a bystander recording of the video, right? So we've got two other protesters here interacting with a federal agent. Here you've got Alex Pretti. He emerges into frame in a brown jacket, black cap, tan pants. In one hand, he is recording. In his right hand, he's recording with his phone. His left hand, you can see, is empty. And what you can see is he's waving traffic through. You can still see the other two protesters who are interacting with the agent. Pretty's still in the street, okay? He's waving a car through. Watch this. He's inviting cars to pass by. And remember, DHS said.
Now, one thing I found kind of interesting, the person in the black car. Now, we don't know what Alex Pretty's phone is showing because they probably took his phone, right? She is recording, and a lot of the recordings you can hear them saying, "Come on," and you can see the black car up ahead, like doing that. I feel like the person in the black car is either a civilian or ICE or whoever, but they're not just going, and there's no one physically in front of them. But to their left is an ICE agent and a couple of people who are like kind of in the street. And I think that the lady on the talk is saying, if you don't get your ass out the fucking street and just fucking drive, in not so many words, is kind of why the whole thing sort of keeps coming, because he's like directing traffic, and you see this black car won't just fucking go. And maybe this is the old driver in me who's just like, at some point, sometimes you gotta just, you ain't gotta fucking gun it out of there, but fucking drive the fucking car, man. It just feels like that. What DHS is trying to lie about is that it was some kind of riot, but it wasn't a riot. It was those ICE agents looking for any excuse they could. And I think the excuse was they accused those two ladies of being in the way when they really weren't. And the person in that car would have just drove. But see, that's just me being frustrated with everybody involved.
That Pretty approached agents with a gun. This video seems to show otherwise.
Ali, this is clearly alternative facts. We have an individual that's looking to assist as it relates to moving traffic through. Although he's not a traffic control agent, but he's looking to somewhat instill a level of order as it relates to what's happening at the scene here.
Order as opposed to disorder. The way they've painted this is that this guy went up to cops with a loaded gun. We've now seen 3 videos, and we haven't seen that.
Right. Let's be clear. There's no aggressive actions on the part of the deceased. He's holding a cell phone. He's trying to capture the interaction between the ICE agents, but he in no way, shape, or form is approaching the ICE agents, nor is he introducing a threat to law enforcement.
You could even argue that he's disrupting traffic, but he's not. He's doing the opposite of disrupting traffic. He's actually encouraging traffic to go through.
Not at all. Not at all. He is encouraging traffic to come through, but he's not looking to disrupt traffic, as you stated. But more so important is he's not providing any threat to law enforcement, right, as we see in this video.
He's distant from them. He's across the street. Okay, as the video continues, Pretty is now going to be walking toward the other two protesters and the federal agent with whom they're interacting across the street. The camera that's recording, you can see it jostles around a little bit. But then we see Pretty. That's him right there. Okay, you see him appearing to help one of the protesters. Then he's hit with what appears to be an irritant. We've seen a lot of these federal agents carrying pepper spray in and around Minneapolis. So take a look at this. All right, so here, let's be clear on what we've got. We've got federal agents all around. There's a protester here. This is the person whom Pretty appears to have been trying to help. This is Pretty right here. He's got his back to the agents. What do you make of where we are now?
What we see now is a woman that was pushed to the ground by ICE. She's on the ground, so it appears as if Mr. Pretty is looking to provide her with a level of assistance, such as bringing her up to a position where she can be okay. He's not, once again, providing a threat to law enforcement, because when we look at law enforcement, these agents, they're to Pretty's back. Pretty is moving towards the individual that fell to the floor. Once again, there's no threat to law enforcement because he's looking to garner or give her a level of assistance.
And remember, because you and I have talked about police shootings for a long time, one big giveaway when it's not a clean shoot is that the person's got their back to you. It's very hard to attack someone backward.
That is true, but the perception in no way, shape, or form presents itself to the officer as a perceived threat.
All right, so let's take a look at this. This next movement, the next moment that I'm going to show you is very quick, so we've slowed it down. Just as Pretti turns his back to the agents, take a look at this. His right hand, very hard to see, his right hand appears to move toward his right outside jacket. Now, the right hand is the hand in which he was holding the phone, and it appears that he's putting his phone into his pocket. Remember, the DHS said officially that he approached agents with a gun. But what we now see, and again, it is hard to see, we've looked at this video many times, but you can see it, both of his hands are empty.
Once again, Ali, the most significant point here is he's not introducing a level of threat to law enforcement. We don't have audio here, but at the same token, he's tendering aid to.
I'm not an FBI specialist. I can only speculate. I think that they were told previously that if somebody yells gun, you shoot. And that's their code for being able to shoot somebody. And all it took was for one person to yell gun, and they were just waiting to see if they could confirm it. But they just wanted to shoot someone because he pulled his gun out. They're going to show you in a second. He pulled his gun out and then kind of waited. And when he shot, he's someone who probably wanted for murder for some shit already. He's already killed someone and got away with it. He just wanted to shoot someone. He joined ICE for $50,000 and an opportunity to shoot someone.
To an individual that's fell to the ground is possibly injured, which is something that a common citizen I can see doing in a situation like that.
All right, let's continue to roll this with one of the protesters, the one with the red backpack you can see over here, all right, falls against the white car. And as Darren said, it looks like Pretti was trying to help that protester, but then the agents pull them apart. Now the group of agents swarm around Pretti, and Pretti is now fully on the ground. Now, in the next clip, they grapple for about 10 more seconds, and I want you to listen carefully because about 12 seconds in, while Pretti is on the ground, at least one agent, and you can hear this because this is now video taken on the outside, yells, gun. This happens more than 15 seconds, by the way, after Pretti is initially thrown to the ground. Watch.
What the is wrong with you? Honestly.
All right, less than 1 second after yelling gun, shots are fired. We count 10 gunshots in total, but
they don't show it there. But when they say gun, there's a big dude in the back who's already turned and moving away. That's the dude who took the gun from Alex Pretti. So when they start yelling gun, they already have his gun in their possession and are now just covering themselves to murder that dude.
But again, we are not forensic analysts. Watch these final moments. I want to warn you again, this is disturbing. All right, Darren, this is important. They're jostling, they're on the ground. This has been more than 10 seconds or 15 seconds on the ground where no one has yet suggested that they've encountered a gun. It is practice, right, with police that the minute there's a gun that is not in an officer's hand, someone yells gun, and certain things should be done at that point, including backing away, allowing the police to be safe.
Right, and this goes into tactical positioning, letting your fellow officers know that a firearm is on the scene. This is in accordance with best practices in policing. However, when we see what happens after that, it becomes somewhat disturbing. What we haven't captured in this video yet is the firearm is actually removed from the decedent. And as after the firearm is removed, that's when the individual is shot.
This is really important. These agents were now several feet away before this happens, before the shooting. They're several feet away from a motionless man at whom they've just fired several shots. They still had their guns all drawn and pointed on Pretti lying on the street. But I want to get back to this crucial and specific moment that Darren just talked about. It appears from the video that one of the federal agents took Pretti's handgun moments before they shot him multiple times. The Washington Post enhanced, slowed down, and zoomed in on this moment in the video. Let's watch this together. Pretti is on the ground. His firearm is removed by a federal agent who is over here. He's the one in the gray. Look at that. The firearm is removed. Now, it's entirely possible because the agent who yelled gun appeared to be standing over here. This agent removes this firearm. This is the agent. And then another officer sees the firearm in the hand of the agent, shouts gun, and then gunshots are fired.
That's correct. It appears as if the individual has a holster, and that's why law enforcement was able to zero in and determine that there was a firearm, which is fine. I thought
the police say that he's permitted, and if you're permitted in Minneapolis, you can carry a gun.
This is true, but at the same token, I understand police removing the firearm. That goes in accordance with best practices in policing. But now we have an unarmed person. Just at that frame right there, we now have an unarmed civilian that's on the ground. This is before he shot. So when we look to the 1989 Supreme Court decision titled Graham versus Connor, this is what introduces how and when police officers can use force against a citizen. There is no imminent threat here, and that's what Graham versus Connor focuses on. The imminent threat has been removed because the firearm has been taken by law enforcement. After the firearm is removed by law enforcement, that's when we have a barrage of upwards of 10 shots that strike the individual or the deceased, leading to him expiring. This is questionable, and this is something that they're really going to have to explain in a court of law.
So for the rest of us who are not trained in policing, there's adrenaline coursing through your veins. There was some kind of a fight on the ground. We're not sure what was going on, and we see this gun removed. For regular people who are not trained in this, you can imagine the adrenaline still coursing through, and you might carry through on what it is you were going to do when you saw a gun. In other words, shoot the guy. But these are supposed to be trained officers. There's a lot of question about how trained they are, and they don't seem to be all that well trained. But that's the policing magic here, right? You see a gun, the gun is now removed by a fellow officer, so you don't shoot the guy.
Ali, you hit it right on the head. The training is of optimum importance. And I believe that after that firearm was removed,
I'm gonna stop it there. They're linking back into the Democrats' response of we gotta retrain these dudes. Like, we just don't need ICE, dude. Like, I think I'm gonna talk about every video is we made the immigration mess by being fucking assholes south of our borders. We have spent decades, centuries fucking those countries up, ruining those countries, destroying those countries. You know, fucking from banana republics to fucking Cuba. Like, it's us. We did the shit. So it is disgusting. It is disgusting for even Democrats to be like, well, we gotta get rid of the criminal illegals. Fuck you. We have to stop making fucking criminals out of people by destroying their goddamn countries. How about that? How about we fix our foreign policy, do right by our neighbors, build up this fucking hemisphere, do it right. All these fucking countries, Brazil, Argentina, all these countries that could fucking be our actual partners, we could be fucking dope all over this side of the fucking world. We could do it right and not have a fucking concern at all about the goddamn border because we are fucking all fucking doing it together. We could just not be fucking dicks. So even fucking Democrats talking about we need strong. No, we don't. We don't. We need to stop being fucking assholes is the answer to the fucking ICE question. Stop being fucking awful to other fucking countries. And then we won't have to worry about their citizens fleeing from our fucking bullshit and then come to us for aid. We'd stop fucking with their lives. Peace, y'all.